Okay, so I've started the VMs. Now let me start the application, database and application. Please, yeah, please excuse me. Yeah, hello, Guy, can you hear me?
Yes, Muzaffar.
Okay, so I think Sadhna must is also busy with something. She's not
Hello, no,
replying.
no, no,
Okay,
I can hear
yeah,
now.
you are here. Okay, now sorry. So we'll start now. So today we are going to take up the topic of users and authorization. Okay, so now what we have been doing till now. See, when we do the installation of SAP. Okay, when we install the SAP application server, two users are created by default. If you look at the Excel sheet, our installation Excel sheet, the primary application server installation Excel sheet. In the Excel sheet, if you go in the information sheet, you will find over here. So these are the application users and these are the DB users. Okay, so these are the DB users. Let me put them above application. Okay, so in the application user, by default, two users are already created, not created, but it exists by default. Okay, one is the SAP star user and the other is the DDIC user, data dictionary user. Data dictionary user is mostly used for scheduling background jobs. Okay, scheduling any housekeeping related, any system related background jobs, not your any other personalized background jobs. Any job which is related to the system, housekeeping, sending mails, and deleting logs, deleting some jobs, and anything. So those kind of background jobs, even your import, the TR import background jobs are run by DDIC user. Okay, and also DDIC user is used for doing your upgrades. Okay, and you only upgrade your system from a 000 client. So DDIC user should exist in the 000 client. Even if it doesn't exist in any other client, it is okay. But it should exist in the 000 client. Don't delete the DDIC user from 000 client. Oh, just a minute, someone is there at the door. Okay, yeah, sorry for the interruption. Okay, so yeah, I was talking about the DDIC user. So never delete the DDIC user from, especially from 000 client, and also don't delete your SAP star user. Okay, because if you delete the SAP star user, then the automatic SAP star user gets activated. Okay, Sadhna, are you do you have the clarity about this user SAP star?
Yes, yes, yes. Last
Okay,
time you explained. No?
okay. So Guy, you also, do you want me to explain further about the SAP star user?
Can you explain it again, please?
Okay, now see what happens inside the database. We have a table by the name USR02. Okay, this is the table which contains all the records of the users which we create in SAP. Okay, so similarly, after the installation, a user with the SAP star user and the DDIC user. So the two records for these two users are already created in the table USR02. Now, what happens if you delete the SAP star user from USR02 table? If the user master record, if the user record is not there in the USR02 table, then the default user SAP star from the SAP's code, which is inbuilt in the SAP's code, login code, that user gets activated. Okay, and the password for that user is PASS, small PASS. Okay, so if you delete the user, then that user get activated. So anybody can log in into that client with the SAP star user and password PASS in small. So this is a security breach. Okay, because the PASS is a very common password. PSS is a very common password. So if you delete this user record from your table USR02, so you can log into that to that client with the SAP star user and password pass. Now to restrict or to mitigate, or you can say not to restrict it, this feature, what they have done, there is a command line, there is a parameter, there is a profile parameter, that is a SAP. Let me check, where is it? We have it in here. Profile parameters. No, the user is the parameter is not here because we don't use that parameter now. That no automatic user SAP star. Let me check in the system itself. Okay, now let me go into RZ11. AUTO auto. No automatic user SAP star. There's a lot of, let me check for star, SAP star. Okay, no automatic user SAP star. This is the parameter. Now, if you check the value of this parameter, so by default, the value of this parameter is 1. Kernel default is 1. It means by default, this parameter is disabled. Okay, it is not enabled by default. By default it is disabled. Disabled means even if you delete the record, the SAP star users record from the USR02 table, you cannot use the SAP star user and the password pass to log into the system. You have to first come and you have to enable this parameter. Okay, you have to change the value from 1 to 0, then only you will be able to log into the client with SAP star user and a PASS, password pass. Okay, is that clear?
Okay.
Okay, so now what was it I was telling? So by default, there are two users which comes with the system by at the time of installation. That is the SAP star and DDIC. After that, I've shown you to create a user here in this step, in the post installation step or initial step. We created one user by the name as SAP admin for our administrative purpose. Okay, and what we gave here is that we copied that user from SAP star. It means whatever permissions, whatever roles and authorization was given to SAP star, all has been copied to the SAP admin user. So SAP admin user is also a you can say super user. Okay, it's a super user thing. So now we will be creating users by scratch. Okay, so now what we are going to do, we are going to create a user by scratch, and then we are going to create a role and then assign to that user. Okay, we are going to create a role and assign to that user and to see how it works. See, by default in a Windows system, for example, in Windows or Linux, when you do the installation, the default user which comes with Windows is administrator, and the default user which comes with the Linux or OS is the root user. Other than that, if you create any user in Windows and Linux, okay, for example, in Windows, if I create a user, something called as Roger, okay, and I create a password for you. If you try to log in with that user, you still have certain roles, you still have certain you can still do certain things with your user, even if we have not, even if, because what happens when you create a user in Windows, by default the user is assigned the group called as users. and as a member of the user group users, you have some certain restricted, not for full privilege, but you have some certain restricted privilege with which you can log into the system and use the system. But in SAP it is not like that. If even if I create a user for you, share the password with you, you will not be allowed to run any transaction. Okay, let us see how it is. Now what I'm going to do over here, let me go into SU01. Okay, now if I want to see, I will run F4, and this is a filter screen, enter F4 and enter. So here I can see all the users which are created in this system. Can you see all the users which are created in this system? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new user over here. Let me see. Now I'm going to create a new okay, the name of this user will be BASIS, basis underscore support. Okay, this user will be basis underscore support, so basis underscore SUP. So let me create this user. Okay, here this is a mandatory field. Here you have to give the last name, or what you can do, you can directly give the same name, basis underscore SUP, the same name as your username. In the logon data, if you want to change anything here, you need to set the password, the initial password. Okay, here you cannot set the productive password. Even if you set any password, when the user logs in for the first time with this password, he will be compulsorily allowed to change the password. He cannot use this password forever. Okay, he has to change this password. I'm giving it as welcome123 w. So here I'm giving the password as welcome123. This is the password. Okay, so you have given the password. Other than that, I will not give any privilege to this user. So these are the two types for giving the authorization. One is the roles and one is the profiles. Okay, so now let me save it over here. Now I'm not going to assign any privilege, any roles, any profile to this user. Okay, now let me go and log in with this user. So I'm logging with this user. So the user name is B basis underscore sub. So this is the user basis underscore sub, and the password which we gave. Now I'm clicking on enter. Now it is asking me to compulsorily change the password. So now I'm setting the password to password123. Okay, here I'm setting the password. Now you can see I'm able to log in with this user. Okay, now after logging with this user, can I do anything? Okay, let me run something. SU01. Can you see what it is giving over here? You are not authorized to use transaction SU01. Any transaction that you give over here, for example, even if I give system own jobs, okay, can you see you are not authorized to use transaction SMX. Even your own background jobs, even your own spool requests, you are not able to do anything with this system. Okay, even if it's anything, you are not able to do anything with this system. Now what we are going to do, we are going to create a generic role. We will create a generic role and then assign it to this user. So now let me come with my user SAP and SAP admin. So here with this user SAP admin, I'm going into SU01. Okay, not this user. Basis support, SAP easy access. Basis support. Okay, here is it. Logged in 3 times. Okay, so now this is my user. So here what I'm going to do here is that I'll create a role. So if you want to create a role, the T code for creating a role is PFCG. PFCG, this is the T code. So now let me open it in a new session /o PFCG. Okay, this is the T code from where you can create role. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new role for this user. If you want to see any existing roles, you can click on F4 and enter. So these are the existing roles. Can you see it here? If you see the bottom line, it says more than 500 input options. So what you can do over here, if you want to change it, you can click on this tab. Here you can click on 5,000. Let me see 5,000. Let me see again. Again, can you see this? Can you see over here 4434 entries found? It means by default SAP has provided you 4434 like sample roles. These are all sample roles. These are all sample roles, 4443 sample roles. These are also called as SAP standard roles. Okay, so now if you want to use any existing role, don't change that role. SAP recommends you to do not change any standard role. If you want to use any existing role, what you can do, copy that role to any existing role. Copy that role to a new role and rename it with starting with a Z. Rename with starting with a Z. So that will be your Z roles. Okay, and then you can change or you can modify that Z role, not that SAP standard role. So what I'm going to do, let me check if there is anything called as a general role over here. Okay, star gen star F4, enter. There are too many general roles also over here. General notification extractor, general. I think there are too many roles. So let me do. We'll create a new role. So I'll create the name of this role will be Z. Any role that you create start with a Z. Okay, this should be a naming convention. Single role. Any single role if you create start with a Z. Normally composite roles will start with a Y. Composite roles are those roles which will contain multiple roles. A single role will directly contain the authorization. Okay, a composite role will not contain direct authorization. It will contain other roles. Okay, similar something like as a directory. So your files and directories. So single role will be your files and the composite role will be your directory. So you can create multiple single roles and then you can create one composite role and assign all those single roles to that composite role. So now here I'm creating GENERI generic auth, something called as generic authorization. I'm creating a Z role for generic authorization. Generic means very common authorization which is used by the users. Okay, now let me okay, create. Now click on the single role. Since I'm creating a single role, after giving the name, after providing the name in this field, click on single role. Okay, now this is your screen. Now here is your menu. Here you must save the role first. Yes. In the menu here you can assign the transaction, the T code that you want to assign to this user. Okay, the T code. So now the most generic T code that we will need to assign to this user is the T code SU53. SU53. So what is SU53? It is evaluate authorization check. Now normally what happens if a user executed any T code, any program, okay, if he gets an authorization error, if it's a T code, then it's quite very simple. Okay, he doesn't have access to this T code. Now for example, if you come over here, now there's an option over here to extras, settings, set start transaction, technical details, system menu. Now let me SAP menu, SAP workplace, edit, execute, create shortcut, add, move, transact, insert transaction, download. Okay, there's something called as download to PC. Now this one I'm looking for this Excel display documentation, technical details, settings, that. Okay, now let me do one thing. Let me first try to assign some one or two T code to this user. Let me check for SC11 table browser, data browser. Okay, so he doesn't have a he doesn't have authorization to SC11. Here I'm going to assign him in his role, I'm going to assign him the T code SE11. Okay, ABAP dictionary maintenance, assign transaction. So here you can see I have assigned one transaction. You are not able to see the name of the transaction. If you want to see the T code, the transaction code, then just click over here this magnifying glass, switch on technical names. Click on switch on technical names and you can see the T code over here, S11. So I assigned the S11 T code. After doing that, go into authorizations. When you come into authorization, you will see that there is no profile created for this authorization. Now what happens here, for every authorization, the topmost layer is your role. After the role, when you create a role, when you save the role, you have to generate it. When you generate the role, a profile is created for that role. The reason for that profile is that you can have multiple versions of a single role, of one role. So each and every version is saved into different profiles. So this is the difference between a role and a profile. So now what I've done, I've created a role by this name, generic auth. Okay, I have assigned this T code S11 in this role. Now after coming into authorization, I will need to click into change authorization data. Click on change authorization data over here. You must save the role first. Yes. Okay, so now what you see over here, these are the minute levels for your authorization objects. Okay, these are the minute layer. These are the, like you can say, granular settings for your authorization. Yeah, Sadhna, you have any idea about these authorization objects?
Yes.
Can you just explain me in very brief, like what do you mean by an authorization object?
Okay, so authorization objects contain fields and field values. So based on like fields, we can add field values like whether it's create, change, display, whatever it is as per the requirement.
Yes, no, normally what you see now, when I'm giving, if you're giving as a user any authorization for a T code, for example, the user, I'm giving the authorization for him for this user basis support. Now when he opens this T code, he will see all of the, you can see there are multiple tabs inside this group. There are multiple tabs inside this group. In every tab there are multiple fields. Okay, he can change the user type from dialect to other user. He can change the user group. He can change the value from, he can change the address. He can change the parameters and roles, many things. Now what happens if you want to give the, so now what, there might be a situation where you want to give the user the authorization for a T code. Okay, the user should be able to open the T code, but you don't want to give the authorization for 100% of the T code. Okay, for example, here in this, for the roles and profiles, this tab, I don't want to give the user the authorization for these two tabs. He should not be able to open the T code SU01 and change his own roles or profiles, because if we have this access, he will directly open SU01. He will go into the profiles, or he will go into the roles tab. He will assign a higher he will assign a role which has higher authorization than which is assigned to him. Okay, so that will be like, it will be a breach of security. The user can assign a SAP all profile to his own user, and then he can do anything within the system. So what I want the user to go log in into SU01, open SU01 T code, but I don't want him to have these two roles visible, two tabs visible with him. So now let me do one thing. Let me go over here in SU. Instead of this, let me come over here. Okay, this is still not operated. Let me come in the menu, remove this, save, authorization, change authorization. Okay, so now there is nothing over here. That is good. Now let me go back over here in the menu. Let me give him the T code SU01. SU01. Okay, user maintenance. Now I'm giving the T code SU01, assign maintenance. Okay, here it is. Now you can come into authorizations, click on change authorization data, save. So okay, now plan version. Now you can check for over here F4. Now what do you want to give him? Alternative application link ALE 99 plan, never use, plan version. So here I'm not sure about anything. So here I will just give him full authorization. Here in this case, for this plan version, I will just give him full authorization. Now see, there are different authorization objects over here. Authorization object plog, authorization, this is for info type 101, delete and display. Function code delete display. What does this content? BC underscore A. Okay, user aggregate, user group. See, can you see over this is for the user groups. So here are the authorization objects for the user group. So by default, he has assigned add, create, change, display, log, delete, assign. Okay, now if I go into directly into this one,
Muzaffar, I have a question.
yes, yes, please.
Okay. Full of authorization concern the user that we can um,
Yes, here
concern.
full authorization means full authorization only for that T code.
Okay.
Only for
Okay,
that T
right.
code. So what you can do is that, see, there are thousands of T codes or programs in the SAP system. You can give a user a selective, for example, 4 or 5 T codes. Only for 4 and 5 T codes, you can give him full authorization. He can do anything with that 4 and 5 T codes. For example, if he is an HR user, okay, so now he might want to create an employee. He might want to edit that employee. He might want to delete an employee. He might want to do something, create a payroll and many different things. So for that limited number of transaction T codes for that HR field, HR domain, you might give that user full permission.
Okay,
Okay.
well noted, yes, sir.
Yes. So now here over full assigned to all element, security policy authorization as user system user maintenance activity assigned. This is the activity for user group in master user master maintenance. Okay, what he can do in the master maintenance, role name, profile. Here it is. Can you see the role name and profile? So here what I'm going to do is there I'm going to select the role name and profile. Okay, let me first give him the full authorization. Save. Okay, here in this one, SAS add group. This is the role name, authorization profile, receiving system of central user administration. For here, for this profile, I am giving him class activity. Okay, here is activity. So I'm only giving him enter, include, assign, add, or create. Okay, I will not give him any activity over here. So this I have not given any activity over here. Activity, then activity for user profile. Okay, this is for the profile, display, enter, include, assign. Okay, this is for the activity for the profile. So here I'm just going to display, don't assign any profiles from here. Okay, then for the user group, okay, again this is for the group. So in the group also I'm changing the profile only for display. Okay, only it will be displayed to him, no other thing. Can you see I'm only giving him the 03 task 03, 03 for role and 03 for profile. Let me don't let again let me change it. Again give him full authorization over here. Save. And here there are two for the user group. This is for the user group. Here I'm going to do. I'm changing the activity only to 3. I'm changing the activity only to 3 display. Okay, so I'm only giving display authorization. Again for profiles also I'm only giving display authorization. Okay, I'm removing that authorization, only display. Now I'm saving it, and now what you need to do is there you need to generate it, or you can directly click on save and it will ask you to generate it. So now what happens when you do all the changes and when you try to save the role, it will create a profile for that role. It will create a profile for that role. So what happens normally, single one role can have multiple profiles. One role can have multiple profiles. So here this is the first profile which I'm creating. Save. Okay, so data saved. So can you see the database was saved? So now let me come back. Okay, it is not generated yet. Let me generate it. There are open authorizations. Generate. Okay, so now I have generated the profile. Now here you can see a profile name over here. So this profile has been created for this role. Now let me log off with this user, log off from the user as a basis underscore sub and log in again. So now I am logging with the user again. Okay, so now with this user, if I run SU01, if I run SU01, can you see? Still you are not authorized to use transaction SU01. But we have given the user, actually we have not assigned the role to that user, sorry. So we have created that role, we have created this role, but we have not assigned it to any user. So let me now assign the role to a user basis underscore sub. Okay, now user basis sub is currently logged by SAP admin. Okay, here it is logged by this user. Come out of this user. And now again, you can click on OK. Okay, now you just need to do a user comparison. You must save the role first. Yes, save. And this is a comparison. Do a full comparison. Okay, and then you can just come out of this and re-log in again. Log off and log in again. Okay, now I'm running SU01. Enter. Can you see over here? Now I'm able to log in with, sorry, I'm now able to open the T code SU01. Also, if you see on this first screen, if you see the first screen, the user, you will see user menu for basis underscore sub. So actually this menu shows what the users have authorization for. Whatever T codes or program the user has authorization for, all that all that T codes or all that programs will be listed over here. Now if you see, the user has only authorization for one program, that is the user maintenance. You don't see the T code over here. If you want to see the T code, click on extras, settings. Okay, and display technical names, check this box and click on OK. Now you can see the T code over here. So the user basis underscore sub, this user is only authorization for this T code, SU01, nothing else. So you can run the T code from here, or you can double click on it and it will open the T code. Now for example, if you want to, I will go for my user basis underscore sub. Now what I'm going into the change mode. Can you see? You are not authorized to change users in groups. Okay, here I can see the roles, I can see the profiles, but I'm not able to, I'm not authorized to change users in group. So for example, if I'm going to change, if I'm going to try to add a profile over here, SAP underscore all. Okay, if I'm going to try to profile over here, now if I'm going to save, authorization profile does not exist or is inactive. Okay, you are not now, if I'm going to save this view, it should give me an error. You are not authorized to assign user group to profile SAP all. Okay, now let me come back over here, come out, save user basis support. Yes, see, it is not saving it because I'm not assigned to make any changes in the roles and the profiles, even if I have full authorization for SU01. Okay, I only have authorization for other tabs. I have authorization for other tabs of this SU01, but not for the roles and the profiles. For example, here in the address, okay, the default is, let me change it over here, save user first. No, let me come back, save user support. No, again, let me open it into change mode. If I come in the address, no, it is, you are not authorized to change users in the group. It is not allowing me to do any changes in this over here. Log on data, SNC, defaults, parameters, nothing. Okay, let me check for address. Let me now see over here, roles and maintenance. Again, go in the change mode for this role. Let me go in the authorizations, change authorization, object class B underscore C. This is for the authorization group, security policies, security policy. Role check. Authorization display, user group, professional SASA, user maintenance system specific assignment. Let me check for this class. Info type 1001. What is the info type for? Okay, so now yes, so now yeah, you are not able to change this T code. You are not able to change this, assign any role or this to this user by this user, by the user itself. He cannot do anything to his own user or to anyone, any other user also. So here is this user. Basis under support. So if even for any other user, for example, SAP admin user. Okay, this is for the SAP admin user. If he goes into this T code, if he goes in the change mode, you are not authorized to change users in group super. So you are not authorized to change users in the group super. So you cannot modify or cannot go inside a super user. Even you cannot see any information about the super user. You cannot even see any information about the super user. Okay, now for example, for any other user also, for this basis user also, you cannot change the password also. For the basis support user, if I'm trying to change the password for this user, change password. Okay, can you see you are not authorized to change password in the user group? You are not authorized to change password in the uh, yes, did you get what we have done till now?
Yes, Muzaffar, yes.
Okay, so by default, what happens when you create a user in SAP? By default, it doesn't has any authorization. You can only log into the SAP system with the new user, but you cannot perform any activity, any task with that user. For performing any task, you have to assign the user that particular T codes and programs only if you have the authorization for that. Now if you see over here, this user has the authorization for SU01, but even with the SU01 T code assigned, see, he is not able to change his own password. Now what it is saying over here, you are not authorized to change password in user group. See, now I have the authorization for SU01, but again, I don't have the authorization for that particular authorization object. Now to troubleshoot, now to find out for which authorization object I don't have access to. So what you can do over here, you can run SU53. SU53 will tell you for which particular authorization object you don't have access for. But here if I run SU53, it is showing that I don't have authorization to use SU53. Now what I will do, I will again go into the roles area. I will assign the T code SU53 to this user. I will assign the T code SU53 to this user. SU53. Okay, I'm assigning the user SU53 and I'm going to save it. Let me, okay, again I have to see it has gone good red. If you change any authorization, if you add or delete any T code, it goes red. Again you have to go in the change authorization data and you have to check where what has missed over here. Okay, over here it's okay. So again you need to generate it. Just click on generate again. Generate. Okay, now come back. So now log off and log in again. Now let me again log in with the user basis underscore sub. Okay, now what I'm going into SC01. This transaction completed successfully. Now let me open basis support. If I want to change the password, now if I click on change password, it is giving me an error. You are not authorized to change password in the user group. Now here what I'm doing, I'm running slash OSU53 slash O slash and anything. When I run SU53, it will tell me what authorization object I'm missing. Can you see? Now I have to see for the latest one. See, now this is for 3:17. What is the time now? The time, the latest one, I think it is this one. This is the latest one. Authorization check note S underscore user underscore group. Can you see S underscore user underscore group? There, what is the field for it? The class, field one class, and field two activity. What activity I need? 05. So this is the detail. Can the only the first one? Don't go for the other one. These are for the previous authorization fails. Only see for the latest one. So this is the last one. So this is my authorization where it is getting failed. Now let me again come back to my change role. Let me go into change authorization data. Now let me check where is this authorization, where is this object, S underscore user underscore group. Now click over here and you can click on selection. Okay, collapse, expand tree. Okay, so here now S underscore user underscore group. What was that? S underscore user underscore grp. It's quite lengthy over here. So what you can do over here is that you can just click on search. Click on search. Okay, authorization object S underscore user underscore grp. Find object. Okay, can you see? It has found this object S underscore user under. This is the object. Authorization user grp. So we have only given the user display role. So class. So what class it is asking for? The class of that user will be field one is class and activity 05. Activity I need to give him 05. Okay, what is the? Can you see lock the user? 05 is for locking the user, and for changing the password. Okay, let me see. Let me save it. So I'm giving him an additional activity for locking the user. Display lock. I'm now say and I'm now generating again. Whenever you make a changes in the profile, just generate it. Generate. Okay, now it is generated. Now let me again log off and log in with the user. Okay, continue. Let me log off from here. Okay. Okay, SU01. Okay, now for this user basis support. Now I'm trying to change the password. Can you see? Now it is allowing me to change the password. Earlier it was not allowing me to change the password. Yes, Gi, can you see this?
Yes, Mustafa.
Okay, so for every granular, see SAP security is very granular. When you say granular, so it not only restrict you for the particular T code of program. See, within that T code or within that program, there are many low level, there are many, like you can say, a low level of authorization for a particular field, for a particular button, for a particular value, anything. You can change the security, you can restrict the security for that. You can allow one user to do one activity and you can restrict the other user for that activity, so that he is not allowed to do that. One user in one role, you are allowing that activity. In the other user in the other role, you are restricting that activity. Okay, a very simple example. For example, a user, a sales, counter. For example, if you go in a mall, so there are people on the sales counter. There are sales counter. After doing your shopping, you come back to the sales counter. When you come back to the sales counter, what you will use, you will give all your products to the sales, the person on the counter. He will take one by one, he will scan it with his barcode, and then he will create a list. He will create an invoice for you, and then he will bill it for you. Now what happens? For example, the T code for creating that invoice, it will also contain some like sensitive data also. For example, what is the cost price of that product? Okay, now for example, the customer is purchasing one item. He is purchasing something called as you can say a trimmer or a hair dryer or some food item or some anything. So now if the sales counter, if he punches that barcode into the system, so it might happen that in the same screen there is also a field which shows you the purchase price, the cost price of that product. Now this is a very sensitive information. You don't want all the sales counter employees to have a look at this information. So what you can do, you can restrict that field. You can restrict that field for those sales counter persons. So when they open that T code, if they will, everything will be displayed to them, but that particular T code, but that particular field will not be visible to them. Okay, also you might want some people to only have a display information. They, you don't want to change any information by the system. Okay, for example, a new entry accountant, you don't want this accountant to post any entry, to make any changes, to make any configuration settings and all. So you will only give him the display only authorization for all the T codes, so that he can only logs into the system and have a display only authorization for all those activities. Okay, now here you can see I can change the password for this user, but here if I try to log this user, okay, again I have given the lock. If I try to delete this user, see, you can see you are not authorized to delete users in group. So I am only authorized to lock the user, unlock the user, and I'm authorized to yes, change the password for that user, nothing else. Yes, okay, is it clear?
Yes, clear.
Any doubts, any queries for this? Actually, I think once you do your practical, then only it will be quite because this is a little confusing. Sometimes the user they get confused. Now, what is the authorization? What is the authorization object? What is the use of this object? Okay, so there are many different kinds. So once you try to do it practically, then it will like it will come into your mind easily. What exactly is this? So what I have done is that I have created a role called as generic role. I have created a generic role for this user. Okay, I've created a generic role as Z underscore generic authorization, and I've assigned it to the basis support user. Now in the generic authorization, I don't want to give SU01 authorization, so I will remove it from here. I will remove the SU01 authorization and let me save authorization, change authorization data, and generated. Okay, so in this generic authorization, I have only given the authorization for SU53. I have only given the authorization for SU53. Now what I'm going to do, I'm creating a new role. I'm creating a new role by the name as basis underscore money. Okay, or basis underscore mon for monitoring. This is a role only for monitoring. Or basis and MNI Moni TORING. So this is the role only for monitoring, basis monitoring. So I'm creating a single role for basis monitoring. In the menu, I will give all the T codes which are required for monitoring of a basis. So what are the T codes which are required for? Let me have a look over here. T codes. Okay, so these are the basic monitoring related T codes over here. Monitoring. So I'm going to assign it over here. Okay, you can also, can you see insert from clipboard? There's a button over here. You can click over here. You can control, or you can press on Control V. It will paste everything. Or what you can do, you can click on this insert from clipboard. Can you see it has inserted all the T codes or all the things which you have copied in your clipboard. Okay, after this you can click on assign transactions. Okay, so these are the monitoring related T codes over here: SM12, SM13, SM12, ST06, ST04, ST03, ST02, and everything. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going into authorization, click on change authorization data, save, and just click on generate. Okay, you can see many, you can see there are many open authorization. These are called as open authorization. For some kind of authorization, it is asking you what should it be. See all this green one, it means they all are maintained. Okay, whatever value is required, they are maintained in this field. But for this yellow one, it means they are not maintained. So for yellow ones, what you can do, you can click on this yellow icon. You can double click on it and you can click on full author. You can click on full authorization. change access to kernel traces, execute. So can you see the last one from yellow, it has changed to green. Okay, just for now, let me double click the third last one. Can you see this one? S underscore data set. I'm double clicking on S underscore data set. Now see, it is now yellow. Now if I click on execute, it becomes green. So this is very hectic. You have to go into each and every authorization object and change it to full. What you can do over here, you can directly click on the higher level tree, on the higher level branch, and you can give directly full authorization from here. Okay, you can give for what you can do. Another thing you can, yes.
Sorry, didn't I'm not getting this part. So
Yes.
you gave the roles, right? First, you gave all the monitoring transactions
Yes,
to
yes.
the role,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're changing with these authorizations.
Okay, now let me okay, now let me go back, and I will not save it, and I will show it to you again.
Sure.
Okay, it's not generated, so I'm not generating it, so it's still open only. What I've done, I have added all these T codes to my role.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, let me get you from where have you left. Means you know how to create a role and how to assign a transaction, everything like this.
Yeah. So you added all the transactions here.
Yes, I added all the T codes over here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
So after
now
this,
after you add the T code, see the role is still not it is still not created yet, because see, you have only assigned the T codes. Now
okay,
there are many sub level authorization that you need to maintain.
right.
Okay, so now for
So
example,
if you just add the transactions and save it, it won't work like that.
it won't work like that. See, it's already saved. If you can see over here, let me.
Okay.
It's already saved. Let me do one thing. Let me delete this role and again create it. You want to delete the role with all the information? Yes. Okay, I've deleted that role. Now it's again, I'm creating a blank. I'm creating a new role with the same name. Okay, so now my menu over here, you can see there, you must save the role first. Yes. So now my menu is blank over here.
Okay.
Okay, now if I click the transaction, now what I can do from here, I can assign the transaction to these roles, T codes. If I click on the T code, let me only assign the T code SICK, sick. I'm only assign the T code sick to this role, and I'm clicking on assign. Okay, now see, I've assigned it. Now if I go out into authorization and click on change authorization data, it will say you must save the role first.
Okay.
Now if I save the role first, even after saving it, see, if I come back, it is still not generated. Even after saving it, you can see it is still red.
Yeah.
Okay, why it is red here? Because if you see the field over here, the profile name, the profile for this role is still not generated.
Okay.
You, when you save a role, only that information has been saved. When you generate it, a profile is created against that role. That profile contains all the granular, all the basic, all the low level authorization information about that role. Okay, and for example, if you keep on changing any role, so every time you generate it, a new profile will be created for that role.
Okay.
Okay, so now here it is. Now I'm going into change authorization data. So if you see here right now, there is no profile created for my role. If I go in the authorization data, see, everything is green. Everything is green over here. The only issue is that the profile is not generated. So if you see over here for this T code S6, so here in this, I am assigning the T code SICK to this role. Other than this T code, there is no additional authorization object for this screen or for this T code. So that is the reason you will not see any other object over here.
Yeah.
Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to generate this role. When you say generate, it means I will create a profile for this role. Okay, now I click on generate. Once you click on generate, see, now can you see it is showing you the name of this profile. You can change the default profile name here. The text, this is the name of the profile, and this is the description. If you want, you can change the name over here. You can change it over here. Okay, now I'm clicking on save, execute. So now my role has been generated, the profile has been generated. Now if you go back, If you go back now, can you see it is green now? The authorization, this button, it is green now.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can see a role, a profile has been generated for this role. Now only SICK, now only SICK T code has been assigned to this role. Now I'm assigning this role to my user, basis underscore sub user. You assign this, click over here, give the user, enter the, you can see the user name over here, you can see the validation of this user. Okay, after this you can still see that it is marked as red. If you see over here, it is still marked as red. The reason is that the user has not been compared yet. The info, you can see the red over here, the button is red over here. The reason is that you now have to use the user comparison. Okay, you must save the role first. Yes. So after saving, it will show you the window for the comparison. Okay, can you see over here, attempted profile comparison successful. Actually what happens, there are too much number of authorization objects, too many users, which is assigned to which one, which is assigned to which one. So after saving, still after saving, when you assign that role to a user, you have to do a user comparison. Okay, when you do a user comparison, it does a comparison in the system, it just sorts out everything, it just arranges everything, and then only it will become green. So what you need to do over here is that you just have to click on full comparison. Okay, I'm clicking over here full if you don't want to do a comparison, you can just click on information. Okay, here you can see the information over here. So I'm not going, I'm just going for a full comparison. When you click on a full comparison, see, can you see over here, profile comparison successful, this is done by this user on this date and this time. Okay, then just click on, now if you see, it has become green. After doing a comparison, it has become green. So this is your exact, this is your, you need to do, all of this should be in green. Okay, now I am coming out of this role, and now I'm again, whatever changes you make with that user, you have to log off and log in with that user to get the refresh authorization, because the authorization is loaded at the time of logging. Now I gave this user the authorization for SICK, enter, but it, okay, now this is very good, it has taken the authorization. But normally before, in ERP, whenever you make any changes in a role, or you have create and assign a new role to the user, you had to log off and log in. But here, which user is this? You can see this is a basis support user. Okay, you don't need, you didn't have to log off and log in. Still just giving the T code over here, I can directly run the T code over here, CQ.
But it's not showing in user menu. I think for that you need to log off
It is not showing what?
in the user menu.
Okay, yeah, I see, you can see over here. Yes, yes, it is not over here. Let me see. Can I user menu? No, it is not SAP menu. SAP workplace, right click, open folder. Okay, so now let me log off and log in again. I think then only it will refresh the user menu. Basis support. Okay, can you see over here? SIG and SU53. Now you can see the new T code in your user menu. This is your user menu. So I have created two role. One is a generic role. This role is a generic role. You can assign this role to any user. Which role? The generic authorization. This role I can assign to any user. What it does, it only contains the authorization for SU53. What is SU53? If the user want to know which authorization object is missing, he can run that T code to find that missing authorization object. So this is a very common requirement. Okay, so you can create one role with all the common and very generic authorization. Okay, this is over here. And there are something also you can run, for example, SMX. There's a T code for SMX. Still, I can, if you see over here, this user is not able to run SMX. SMX, or you can see if you run from system own is full request. Excuse me, just excuse me, I'm getting a call. Just give me for 1-2 minutes. Okay, yeah, sorry for the interruption. Okay, so now if you see over here, there are two entries over here. Own spool request, own jobs. It means your own spool request. Whatever spool has been created by you yourself, the user or not, the user which is logged in. Okay, right now the user is basis underscore sub. Now if I run this my own spool request, can you see it is giving me an authorization error over here? And what is the T code that is required over here? SP02. SP02 T code authorization is required for this user. Also, if I click on here own jobs, if I want to see my own job, the own jobs of the user basis underscore sub, can you see it says the user doesn't have authorization for transaction SMX. So these two are also very basic transaction. So what I will do in this generic T code, I will also assign this generic this authorization for SP02. SP02, what is it? Display spool request and also SMX, own spool jobs. Let me click on assign transaction. Okay, now if you save it, if you see now it is showing you green, but as soon as you save it, it will become red. Okay, so again, so after saving again, you have to go into edit authorization data. Okay, can you see now this is a new, earlier before this was not coming over here. So now if you could click on the first drop down menu, if you drop down, this is only for the list of T code, the first authorization object. This is S underscore T code. This is the authorization object, S underscore T code. It only shows how many T codes you have been assigned access to. So I have assigned access to SMX, SP02, SC53 in this role. And for these T codes, you will see all the details over here. For activity, what activity needs to be done over here, what activity needs for the spool. This is for the spool related programs. This is for the SPO. This is for the SPO activity, SPO. This is for the device. Okay, spool device, and this is for your spool page. Can you see it is asking for your spool device, spool page. Now what you can do, you can create, you can change it over here. You can change the, I think these are all your own activities. So what you can do, I can double click over here and you can give the full authorization for this all. So all the sub topics, all the sub the branch, it will become green. Okay, now I can click on generate.
Here we have two roles, correct?
No, here we have only one role. The
Only
authorization
one.
object is different.
Okay.
This is the authorization object S underscore T code. This is the class AAA-B, which contains your authorization object S underscore T code. Here is the class BC underscore A, which contains, these are the three authorization objects for your this class BC underscore A. The role is only one. If you see, the role is only one over here. See, this is the role. Can you see the first line role?
Yes, I
This
see.
is only one role. Authorization objects will be multiple depending on the T code that you assign. If you assign multiple T codes, you will get multiple authorization objects. See, every T code, every screen will have its own authorization object. If you see the name over here, this is for your spool. S underscore SPO. SPO is for spool. AC is for activity, spool activity. See, S underscore SPO, spool. D is for device. S underscore SPO. This is for spool. This is for page. Pages, number of pages. Can you see? So for every T code, it will have as many number of authorization objects. This is for device related. This is for actions. ACT is for actions. So what I have done, I have made all them green. I have given full authorization for SP02, or for all the spool related activity, I have given full authorization, because I know if the user has full authorization for SP02, it is not going to impact any kind of security. No, it is not going to breach any security. So after this, I have generated it. Okay, it is done. Profile were updated. Now you can come back. Let me now again come back and log off and log in again. So you will see, you can see the user menu if I log off and log in again. This is support user. Okay, now let me log in with the user. Okay, now can you see the user menu now? See, it has expanded now. It now also include SP02, SMX, and this SP02 and SMS. I'm able to run this T code SP02. Now you can double click on it. It will open the T code for you, the screen for you, program for you directly from the user menu, or you can also open it from system own is pull request. Okay, earlier it was giving authorization error, but now I can execute this own jobs. Okay, is it clear till now? Any doubts, any queries?
Okay for me.
Now, so what I've done, let me again add more number of T codes to my user, but this for this generic role. For this generic role, I don't want to add any kind of special or any kind of T code which contains special permissions. Okay, which contains any special permission. Now let me do one thing. Try to assign an object SU01. No, I'm not assigned to SU01. SP02. From here, there's an option to there's an option over here to export this screen information on the screen. Go to display variable selection screen, utilities, restart, settings, basic list, layout. Okay, save the layout as layout, save as. Let me check if I'm able to say no. This is something different. No, not the thing which I'm looking for. Refresh, print, this. No, it is not here. Okay, no issue. Let me check into, go back, own jobs. Okay, so now for example, I'm not getting that option. Okay, we'll leave that. Now what I'm going to do, I'm opening this role. This role instead, now this is completed. Now let me go into monitoring role. Now what I'm going to do, earlier I only added the SIG transaction to it. Okay, this is a SIG transaction. If you go in the authorization, if you check the change authorization, you don't have any kind of additional this authorization object. Okay, yes, Guy, you there?
Yes, Muzaffar.
Okay, now if you see over here, see there is only one class over here. In the other role, there were two classes. See, for this transaction sake, there is no additional authorization objects related to this T code sake. So that is the why below there is no more class over here. Now what happens if you go back, if I go in the menu, if I add another T code, now I'm adding this T code SU01. Okay, I'm adding this T code SU01. Now if you go in authorization, change authorization data, save it. Yes. Now if you come over here, now can you see, now you can see two more authorization object over here. Object class BC underscore A, object class HR. So previously for the T code 6, there was no additional authorization object, but for SU01, these are the, so let me give full authorization, save. So now if you come over here, you can see all these authorization objects which is related to the T code SU01. Yes, Sailesh, is it clear to you? Any confusion, any doubt?
Yeah, it's clear now.
Okay, so these are the different authorization objects related to this S underscore. You can see it from here. S underscore security policy. This is security policy. S underscore user authorization. role check, S underscore user authorization, S underscore user group, user pro, user, all this are over here. Okay, if you are sure that what you want to give, you can click or you can double click over here and you can give full permission to this. So all these authorization objects have now become green. All these authorization objects have now become green. Okay, so now this role has full permission for this T code SU01. Actually, this is wrong. This role is only for monitoring. So monitoring role should not contain this administration level of T code. Let me remove this T code SU01 from here. Let me add the monitoring related. So these are the monitoring related T code. Okay. SICK, SM28, SM28 and SICK both are the same tier, nothing changed. Then SM51, SM50, SM66, SC22. These are the T codes over here. So now what I'm going to do, transaction, and I'm going to paste it from my clipboard. Okay, assign transaction. Now if I go into authorization, change authorization data, save. Okay, these are all the classes. These are all the class for your objects for different monitoring T codes over here. Okay, so since these are all monitoring related T codes, I can be a little lenient with assigning the authorization. I can give them full authorization because these are all monitoring related T codes. Okay, so that is why I'm very lenient. I'm just clicking on authorization and just giving full authorization. But if it's an administration related T code, then you have to work it out. What permission needs to be given for this and what not. So everything is in green. Just click on generate. Now this role has been generated. Now it's already assigned. Let me check whether it is assigned. Okay, it is already assigned to this user over here. Okay, let us check if you need a user comparison. Comparison user record completed. I don't think we need a comparison. Now let me log in with this user. Okay, can you now see the user menu over here? Can you see the user menu? Now you can see multiple users coming from multiple roles coming from different. Now, if you, for example, if you click on SM60, SM50, SM50 work process, can you see it is showing you all the information over here for the work process? Save layout, set layout, change layout, active work processes, administration work process, trace, delete station, edit, select all, set filters, display some search, go to system wireless, user info, back, list, print, export. Yes. Now, can you see over here this option over here, export? Yeah, sorry, everyone is okay till now. I've added all that monitoring T codes. I've generated that role. Now I can see all that T codes in the user menu of my user basis support. Now this user is authorized to use all these T codes. Now after doing this, I have come to this one. I have opened a T code called as SM50. This is for the work process monitoring. Can you see? For the work process monitoring, I can see the layout. But if I click on the list, if I click on export, see nothing is been, I cannot export this information into my PC. I cannot export this information into my PC over here. Okay, let me go into another T code. What T code I have over here? /n SM04. Let me go into SM04. Okay, I can see some list over here. Again, if I go into list and export, I don't see the option over here. So what is this option? You have to give an authorization object over here. Which is the authorization object? I will give it to the generic role, not to the monitoring role. I will open the generic role over here. I will change it. Now I don't have to assign any T code. I will directly go to the authorization tab. I will click on change authorization data. Now here I will manually add a authorization object. I will manually add authorization object S underscore GUI. I will manually assign authorization X underscore GUI. Click on OK. Now, if you click over here, you can see the authorization object here for this yellow one because this is still not maintained. Can you see this is activity? Now, what activity can you see over here? change, print, import, export. Can you see? So what permission I want it to have? Only for the export permission. No change.
Jafar,
Yes.
when you enable, like when you added those T codes first, and when you
Yes.
enabled full authorizations, it should give everything, right?
Yes.
Then why it's not showing? Why it's not giving that export option? If you, because you
Yes.
made it
Okay. Now
green,
let me.
everything green.
Do you want to save? No. Now let me come back. Let me again go into the change authorization object. Okay. Now can you see over here? Right now everything is green.
Yeah.
But here that authorization object is not here, which I'm going to select now. See what you see, this is what we are doing right now is security. So how can you say that if I give full authorization one time, everything which will be added in the future will have the full authorization? See, this is a security breach, na? Do you get my point?
Yeah.
Okay, so see right now, or for all this object s underscore spo, s underscore spo, s underscore spo, everything has the full authorization. Now what I'm going to do, I'm manually assigning an object. I'm manually assigning an authorization object s underscore GUI. Now when I click on s underscore GUI and click on OK, can you see it has added one more object over here? It has added one more authorization object over here. So only for the new one, only for the latest edition, it is showing you open. Yellow means it is open. It has not been maintained yet. Values missing. Yellow means values missing.
Sorry, I think I'm a bit confused with this generic role and the other role.
See,
So,
generic role means whatever authorization and objects which you want to give any user.
okay.
Okay, any user who logs into the system, maybe only if he doesn't have want any permission, at least basic authorization, seeing his own job, seeing his own background job, seeing his own school request, running SU53 to check what authorization is missing, and then to export any content. So these are all generic or very, like you can say, very general authorization.
Okay.
So I've created a separate role for all the general authorization. If I add this authorization in s under basis underscore monitoring role. Okay,
Yeah.
now whatever though I see, I cannot assign the monitoring role to all the users. See, there will be multiple different types of users in the system, HR users, and then
But
finance.
here, but here we are working only on particular user you created, right?
See, the generic role will be for any user. It will be general. I will assign it to all the users.
Okay.
Only the monitoring role, the specific role which contains specific authorization, will be assigned to specific users, not all the users.
Okay. But can you do the same thing in that monitoring role? Whatever you're doing on generic role,
Yes, I can do it monitoring role. So now if I assign that in monitoring role,
it
so
applies to
now
only that user,
it only applies to that role.
that
Okay,
role.
basis underscore monitoring. Now for example, in my organization, I have a HR team. Okay, I have a finance team, I have a production planning team, I have a warehouse team. Now there will be users created for every team, na? Okay, for
Right.
example, there will be like say 200 user, 200 user, 500 users which will be created in the system. So I cannot assign the basic monitoring role to all these 500 users, na?
Right.
Okay, only the generic roles which I can assign blindly to any user. I am creating a role for that generic role. I will blindly assign this role to all the user. Whichever users created by default, I will assign this role. Now after that, when his roles and when his responsibilities are defined, then I will assign that specific role for that user. I hope I'm
Okay.
clear on that.
Yeah.
Okay, now if I click on change, I will click on export. Okay, activity 61, click on save. Now you can see it has become all green because I have added the activity on it, action on it. Now again, just click on generate. Okay, you click on generate. Now what I can do, I can come over here. Let me see if it sees over here list export. It is not showing me. Let me again refresh the screen, come back and log in again. Can you see over here? Yes, can you see?
Yeah.
Now I can export the content of this screen in a spreadsheet or a local file.
And this applies to all the users who are on the
Yes,
system.
because this is coming from the generic role. See, this doesn't applies to all the users. This applies to all the users who have the generic role.
Oh yeah. Again, you
Okay.
need to assign the role, isn't it?
You need to assign that generic role to the user. Then only the statement will be correct. If I
Correct.
create one user in the system, the user doesn't have any role or it doesn't have this role, then this doesn't apply to that user.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now if I click on a local file, I can export. See, it is asking unconverted text with tabs, rich format, this clipboard. This is the for a text file. It will export in a text file. If you want to export in a, if you want to get it export in a spreadsheet, you can click on spreadsheet. It will export what format you want, XML format and anything. You can select it from here. Sorry. Yes. Am I clear on this?
Yeah.
Now what I can do now, what I created two roles. So I see this is my monitor, this is my generic role. It contains 3 T codes and it contains one additional authorization object. And also I have a role for monitoring, basis monitoring. So this is a role for my basis monitoring which contains all the T codes for basis monitoring. Now I can similarly I can create a new role for called as Z underscore basis underscore administration. Okay, Z underscore basis underscore administration, and I will create a single role for this. I will create a single role. Now what I will do here, I can create now these are different profile. You can see for profile parameters, I have this role. So let me try to add in over here. Yes, transactions. Okay, RZ10, RZ STMS. These are all the T codes for STMS. RZ10, RZ11. Okay, these are for all the for clients related T codes. Okay, then you have for user authorization related T codes. Okay, then you have for some support packages upgrade related T codes. Okay, then I have for something for logical system related. Okay, I think that is enough. So now I'm going to click on assign transaction. Okay, I can click on assign transaction over here. Better what I will do over here. Let me go back without saving. Do you want to save? No. Let me again click on edit menu. Instead of directly clicking over here, what I'm going to do, I'll create a folder. Let me create different folder. So now I'm giving a folder by the name for as a profiles and parameters. This is a folder name. Click on OK. Inside this folder, I will click on transaction and I will assign RZ11, 10 and 11 over here. Okay, assign. So it will be assigned in this folder. Again, go on the role menu, click on a folder. Okay, now I'm creating a folder for TMS, or let me just give TMS. Okay, under TMS, I will add all the T codes related to assign transaction. Now I'll create a client. I'll create a role, create a for client administration. Okay, I'm clicking a role for client administration. In this one, in the client administration, I will assign all the client administration related T codes. Assign transaction, and let me have the last one. Okay, this is your user authorization. And here I will assign SCG. Okay, assign transactions over here. So this is I've given in a different folders. Now let me go into authorization, click on change authorization data, save role. Yes, save it. Now I can see it is asking me for all the information. So right now I will not go deep into it. I'll just click on full authorization. Okay, and save. Here also you can click on status and you can just go with the full authorization. It will give you full authorization to all the classes. You don't have to select each and every class and click on full authorization. Just click on full authorization. See, everything has become green. Now I will just click on generate. Now I'm going to generate the profile. Okay, I've generated the profile. If I go back now, this is green, this is green, the user. I'm not assigned this role to any user. So now I can assign the role to a user. For example, now let me create a new user over here. Instead of support, I will create a user by the name as ADM, admin, basis underscore admin user. I'm creating it over here, creating the user. The name will be same, basis underscore support. Instead of support, I will make it ADM. Okay, now log on data. I'm giving the password for this user, welcome 123, welcome 123. Now the roles, what role I want to assign to this user, just click on the role over here. You can click on this one icon, it will show you all the role. I can click on Z basis underscore admin and just click on star and enter. So there is this role, I'm assigning this role to this user. Okay, I've assigned this role to the user. You can run the user master comparison from here. Direct assignment, user master record, compare user, it's already done. Save. I can now just click on save. I've created a new user, basis underscore ADM. Now when I go, I will try to log in with this new user, basis underscore ADM. Okay, password welcome 123. If it is asking me to change the password, I'm going to change the password. Okay, yeah, I've changed the password. Now I'm logging, I'm able to, can you see now, instead of showing you direct menu, in case if you see over here for this user, for the basis underscore support user, for the basis underscore support user, see, it is showing you direct all the T codes which is assigned to this user, direct user menu. But if you see for the basis underscore ADM user, you can see folders over here. Okay, you can see it is arranged as for the folders. It is not showing you the technical name. You can click on extras, settings, and display technical names. Okay, so now you can see technical names also over here. What program is for what everything. Okay, but this user cannot run. If now see basis underscore ADM. Now if you use the try to run the own jobs, he will get an authorization missing error because he doesn't have the role for SMX. It means this user doesn't have the role for generic authorization. Do you get this here, Salesh?
Yeah, I got it.
The user doesn't have the role for generic authorization. See, he has all the roles for all.
For that, you need to amend that generic
Yes.
role with this authorization and assign to this
No, I
user.
don't need to edit the role. I just need to assign this role. Or for this user,
Yeah.
user maintenance, I just go into this user and you need to assign this role to this user. Okay, here I will assign the role to this user, F4 Z basis underscore MON star. Okay, I will assign the, no, it's not, sorry, not the basis monitoring, just the Z gen star. Okay, I'll assign this to this user. Okay, it's assigned and it's already green. No need to compare, but if you want, you can again just click on user comparison. Now let me come over here. Now let me try to run this one. Last time it was giving error own jobs. Can you see? No, again SMX. I need to log off and log in again, I think. Basis support. I need to log in with the user basis ADM. No, I only did okay, ADM. Okay, now if I try to click on system, my own spool request. See, now I'm able to. You are not authorized to use transaction SP02. Which user is this? Basis underscore ADM. Why? But see, I gave him the authorization. Let me. Okay, I have not saved the user. Sorry. Okay, now I have saved this user. Now let me again try to see over here. Own jobs. Can you see? Now I'm able to run own jobs. I'm able to run all this one. Is pull request. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay, but now what happens now for a year, for what, for the user, for the administrative user, every time I have to assign them two roles, because see, the administrator user also need the access to the monitoring role as well as the administration role. Do you get my point? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now what happens, every time if I create an administrative user, I will have to assign him two roles, one for the monitoring role, one for the administration role. So now what I'm going to do over here, instead of doing this, I will create one composite role. I will create one composite role. Now what is this composite role? If I go come into this one, PFCG, come into PFCG, now you can see Z basis underscore administration. So instead of Z basis administration, I will make it Y basis administration, and I will create a composite role. In this composite role, click on the, go in this role, save this role. Yes. Here I will give the role Z underscore basis underscore admin. Okay. F4, enter. Okay. Fine. And also Z basis underscore mon. Okay, I have given these two roles. I have assigned both these roles, Z roles, single roles, to this Y role. Y role means it's a composite role. Okay, I will just click on save. Okay, I don't need to give any other menu. Don't need to give any T code over here. Just give a user. Okay, to which user you want to assign this role? I will assign this role. Okay, I will assign this role to basis underscore ADM. Okay, I'm assigning this role to basis underscore ADM, and I'm saving it. Is it clear?
Yes.
I'm coming out of it. Now I will go into for this user. Basis support. Now let me come out of this. I'm going for this user slash and SU01. Okay, now basis admin. Okay, now if you see the roles over here, so he has the roles for Y basis administration, Z basis administration, Z basis monitoring. Okay, now let me check authorization. He needs authorization, basis administration, no Z roles. He doesn't need any Z role. Let me remove this role and Z basis monitoring. Okay, so direct. Let me remove this Z basis administration role. Okay, let me directly assign him Y basis single role. Okay, I can only search for composite roles. So you have to search for composite roles over here. Y basis administration. Okay. Okay. Now let's just save it. Okay, can you see over here? I have assigned one composite role. I have assigned one by basis role to this user. Okay, and this administration and this all this both single role is coming. Can you see? Assignment comes from composite role. See, I have only directly assigned these two roles. I have directly assigned these two roles, Y basis administration and Z generic authorization. You can see the equal to mark, direct assignment. But these two roles, these are coming from the indirect assignment. Y basis role. Clear on that? Now if I try to log in with the basis administrative user, if I try to log in with the basis administrative user, can you see I also getting all the roles which is coming from my administrative role, and also I can see all the T codes which is coming from my monitoring role. Yes, am I clear on this?
Yes, Madam.
So this is a single role and composite role. See, a security is it's not that very complicated, but when you goes into like authorization, so if you have multiple number of users, multiple number of roles of this user, one user is also assigned to HR department, one user, the same user also does some work for a finance department also. Okay, you can all these are called as shared resources. These kind of situation, it creates such a complex scenario. Do you need to assign this user this role, you need to assign this user that role, that also it becomes so complex when you have a complex environment landscape. So that is the in that time you have to be very like you can say creating roles and creating just composite roles, single roles too, so that you can be very generic, not sorry, not generic, you can be very granular. Okay, you shouldn't be like that by mistake you assign one role to the user, and from that role he's also gaining access to other T codes for which he shouldn't have access. Is my point clear?
Okay.
Yes.
So it is a very headache job. So actually in the starting, before you don't go directly creating the user, assigning roles to them. Okay, first you have, it's a lot of work which is involved in planning. You have to create an authorization matrix. Just a moment. So it's you have to create an authorization matrix. So each and every consultant, normally it is not created by the basis consultant. Okay, because basis consultant doesn't know which authorization has to be given into which role. Okay, this authorization matrix will be created by the respective consultant. The the finance consultant will create all the roles that he needs for his finance department, for his finance team. The SD consultant or the SD power user, the SD HOD, the head of the department, that user will create all the power, the role matrix for the roles of the SD users. Similarly, every department or every functional component consultant for the department will create the roles. Will create the matrix, the role matrix, the authorization matrix for that all the department. Your job will be to create those roles and composite roles inside the system, assigning what to assign, where to assign, which authorization object, everything will be defined by the functional consultant. Okay, is it clear with you, everyone?
Yes.
But actually, see, it is very easier said than done. Normally what happens, the security department, the security, you can say, the team, or you can say the person in any organization, mostly in, you can say, like a mid-level organization, small and mid-level, it is a very complicated responsibility, because nobody follows protocol, nobody follows process. Okay, any user, end user, a user will join one day, the next day his manager will tell him, okay, go into this T code and run this activity. He will punch it into the system, he will put the T code, he doesn't get authorization error, he will tell his manager say, okay, this is the basic administrator, go and ask him. Everyone will come to you, I don't have authorization for this, I don't have authorization for this. There will be no my authorization matrix, there will be nothing streamlined, there will be nothing systematic. So it's a very headache job to handle. Yes, am I clear on this?
Yes.
Yes, any queries, any doubts on this?
No. Maybe
Okay,
while practicing we'll get doubts.
yes, one more thing that I would like to share with you is the T code, which is called as swim, SUIM. Okay, this is the T code SUIM. What is this T code? It's a very good T code from where you can like you can say investigate the authorization for example, in my T code over here. Now I have a T code. Let me take it. Okay, this T code STMS. This is a very critical T code. Now you, not every user should have access to this T code. Now if you want to find which all users have access to this T code, how can you find? For example, now see, right now what you can do, right now we only have three roles. I can go into every role, I can check which role has the T code assigned to it. Okay, first step, I will go into the generic role. I will go into the basic monitoring role, administration role, and I will find that okay, the administration role has contains the authorization for STMST code. After that, I will go into SU01 or from PFCG. I will check which users have been assigned this role. And I will come to know how many users have access to this T code. But in a bigger environment where you have thousands of users or at least hundreds of users and hundreds of roles, it is not an easy task to go into each and every T code in each and every role and check which role has access to which T code or which authorization object. In that case, what you will be doing, you will go into SUIM. In SUIM, I want to search for the user. Okay, user by what? Cross system information, user by address data, user by complex selection criteria, user by roles profile, user by roles, user by profile, by critical authorization, user with critical. I will click on this user with critical authorizations. Now in this screen, for see, for critical outcome combination user, this T code. Where is the screen for T code? Selection criteria, role name, by role as authorization, sorry, by authorizations, authorization object, authorization values. Okay, sorry, the transaction authorization, by transaction authorization. Okay, T code STMS. Here I'm putting STMS. So this is the T code which I'm looking for. Okay, and I'm clicking on execute. Can you see which all users have access to this T code? Normally you would have said only this user, SAP basis underscore admin, because we have assigned it. But these all users also have access to this T code indirectly from the SAP underscore all profile. The DDIC user, the SAP star user, the SAP admin user, the SDMI user, the test user. Am I clear on this? Have you got? So you can check for the authorization T codes from here, which user authorization for which T code. You can check for authorization values. For example, for this authorization object S underscore GUI. Okay, this is the authorization object S underscore GUI. For this authorization, what value? Input values. What value? Activity. What value I'm looking for? For example, I'm looking for export. Which user has an activity for export? Now let me click on execute. Can you see these all users have all this authorization for the S underscore GUI for the activity export? And actually, I think 61. Okay, 61. Can you see now both this user also have got this authorization for 61. These two users are getting the authorization here from the S underscore GUI authorization object that we assigned to the generic role. Okay, so now this is authorization object S underscore GUI, which all users have access to the S underscore GUI authorization object. So here you can see all the users which have access to this authorization object. Now, for example, if you want to check for the profile or you want to check for the role, okay, now which user has assigned for this role? For example, Z generic, Z generic underscore auth. Okay, let me execute. Now, which all users have assigned? So, can you see only these two users have been assigned to this that role? Z underscore generic underscore auth. Yes, am I clear on this? Any queries, any doubts?
No.
Okay, it is clear for me, but I have a question.
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, I want to know if is it the responsibility of basis consultant to create a user and assign it to HR consultant or
Yes, actually, see, normally what happens, it depends on the company that you are working for. See, some company, for example, if it's a global company, if it's an MNC multinational company, it's a, like a it's a process oriented company. Okay, so in those kind of company, the jobs are divided. A basis consultant is only required to work on the basis activities. In that environment, he is not required to work on the authorization. He is not required to create any user, to create any role, and to assign any user to any role. Okay, but in other organization which is not process oriented, or say you can say like a mid level company, in that company they will have only one basis administrator, and he is required to do all those activities. He is also expected to create the role, to create the user, and to assign the role to that user also.
okay.
Okay, any else queries and doubt? Okay, any no queries and doubts?
No.
Okay, so whoever here it is, I think Gi is there, Gi and Salesh and Sadhna. You all three are there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so now this was the last, you can say, the topic of our batch. Okay, but it doesn't end over here. If you now what I said last time also, if you have any doubts and queries, prepare a list for it. Whatever doubts you have, whatever queries you have, try to share in the group. Okay, now whatever can be addressed in the group, we'll address it there. But if some of the topics which need more explanation, more practical, like to show you practically, then we will schedule additional extra class for it.
Okay.
Okay, then
Okay, okay,
we'll schedule that class and we'll address that topic in that extra class. Okay, so
Was-
tomorrow we will have no class, but in this week you can do your practical, you can do your practice and everything, and you can prepare your list of topics, the doubts, the queries, and or you can also suggest new topics also. Okay, you can suggest us, okay, Muzaffar, you can please add this new topic also, if it is feasible. If it is practically, see, many of the users have requested me to add some upgrade in the code, but it is not practically like feasible. The reason is that for running some you need a SAP license, and I cannot procure license from the for SAP, so that is not practically like feasible. So any topic which is practically feasible, if you can suggest, if you suggest that, if I can create a content for that, then surely I will take an additional class for that topic, and I will also include those topic in the future batches also. Okay,
Muzaffar,
yes, Alish.
I want to, if possible, like I want to know more about theory.
Okay, like
So because
Fury, like what is your queries?
no, it's not queries. Just like anything more about the inside the dashboards, something like, because it's now it's the latest
I get
technology.
your point. You can do
Yeah.
one thing, just for whatever you have requirement for and new topics, understanding, just drop a small message in the group.
Okay,
I will
sure.
make a list of all those topics. If I can give an explanation, there is a small things, a small query can be done there. For this query, you want to see a practical workout layout of this. I will try to collect 2 or 3 more topics for this regard, maybe other topics, and then we'll schedule one additional class, and then we'll address all these topics in that class.
Sure, sure. I'll do
Okay,
that. Sure.
sure. So we'll be ending this today's session here itself. Okay, any you have any doubts, any queries, you can just put it in the group.
I
Okay.
have one query, but not query. It's my personal issue when, like, I've restarted HANA DB because it's consuming all the resources. So anyway, I'll put it in the group. I think
Yes,
that's
yes,
for
put
the
in the
group.
group. If it's required, then I might like take a session and we can check it over there on any day.
Yeah. First, I'll try with the logs and all from
Yes,
Google.
yes.
If I can't work it out, I'll put it in the group.
Sure, sure. No problem. Okay. Yes, Gi, Sadhna.
Yes, Muzaffar, well noted.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, everyone. See you next
Okay.
time.
Thank you, Madhafar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Yeah, bye bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.